You still have, you've got a physically enclosed place, but you've also got people who have very specific roles who are supposed to be there. So you're working with, you're working with the judge, and you're working with, well, how Grisham does all that stuff, and you've got your jury, and you've got the lawyers, and you've got the suspects, and got the witnesses and all. And where it gets interesting is where you can open it up to either bring in new witnesses or
what I have found really fascinating, I mean, because, I'm not a lawyer, and I've just kind of learned this as I've gone along and talking to people, and, what I have found fascinating is the reality that in a trial you're not supposed to have surprises.
Right.
What I didn't realize when I started writing these books, like Hard Evidence, my guy got surprised all the time, which no real lawyer would ever do.
Absolutely not. It's the first thing I'm here to tell you is that in there. First thing they tell you in law school when you're doing trial work is never ask a question to which you do not know the answer, because you are not going to like it.
That's right.
And then you open the door, you can open the door to all kinds of things.
They're just madness, and you can lose real quick if you lose that leverage and just go, well, I've opened the door, I'm gone, But
that makes for boring fiction.
What I'm loving, though, about writing these books now, I mean, the book I'm writing right now, next year's book, is really cool because everything's out on the table early. You really know basically the facts, and now you're just seeing how the real trial gets handled.
So who do you go to, since you're not a lawyer yourself?
Well, I always tell everybody, if you're going to wind up doing, courtroom drama, I recommend getting a best friend when you're 14 who's going to go on to become the chief homicide prosecutor in San Francisco, which is what I have got. Now he's moved down to San Mateo where he's head of violent crimes. But he just did that about 6 months ago. But this guy, Al Giannini, I write in all my books, I acknowledge him every time I talk about it, because he's the man. He's never lost a case. He's a brilliant lawyer. He's even a better chess player, and he's a great reader. So.
And he does all this for love? Not
Yes,
quite.
A little bit.
Sorry, I didn't mean to inquire into
a little other things. But, he's great because I give him my manuscripts, and I get them back, a month later, and they're that thick to begin with, and when I get them back, they're that thick because of all the paper clips he's put in them. And then we generally go away for 4 or 5 days. We go to a hotel and lock ourselves away and go over every single thing that could be wrong with the legal stuff.
Well, you are really remarkably fortunate, because I think most people who read your books assume that you yourself, as so many really fine crime novelists are, Steve Martini, talked about Linda Fairstein, Robert Tannenbaum, who I think, I read my first Robert Tannenbaum last summer. Man, I was just blown away by Absolute Rage. What a great book.
Yeah, he's good.
He really is.
Yeah, he's good.
And he hadn't been to the store before, and that's often a trigger for me if I have not been able to diligently investigate the work of an author. Having them come to visit us always does it, because my rule is that, I have to have read the book in order to do the program and the whole bit. I was just wild about it. Also about that 20-year, long-term, very difficult marriage that Butch Karp and his wife are involved in. It isn't just about Butch, and it isn't just about legal stuff.
Anybody, and I've learned this, and I know that, Tannenbaum knows it, that anybody who decides to take on marriage in their books and have a marriage in their books is playing with serious fire.
Yeah, and your guy Diz.
My guy Diz is just, I hear more comments about Diz and Franny than everything else combined. All the law stuff, anything else you're talking about, nothing next to Diz and Franny.
And it's not just Diz and Franny, it's the kids.
Yeah, the kids, they're part and parcel of the whole thing.
Yeah, but that's other relationships, other people he can either disappoint, other people he can wound, other people who are proud of him. To me, it makes him
real. But really, you can't imagine the debate that goes on. If somebody brings up Franny in one of these, when I go to a signing, it almost always, devolves into some kind of screaming match in the thing. Yeah. I hate that bitch. I really do. You hate her? She's like great. Are you kidding? He ought to leave her. She should leave him. He's a jerk. Blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't believe. And I'm just sitting there going, guys, I make them up.
I know, but that's it. That's, I think, the hallmark of a really, wonderful writer is that your readers believe your characters. They really get invested in them. I'm here to tell you, because now that we've been in business 14 years, we have lost writers. And in every single instance, when one dies, the readers are sorry, but they're really mourning the characters.
The characters.
It's never, oh, too bad. It's
Yeah,
more like, oh,
yeah.
God, I'll never get to read it.
Yeah, my son's a little mad at me about this book, by the way. Speaking of characters we mourn.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you know, I don't want to give it away, but
No,
you
I know. I wondered-
faked people out a little in the oath, and I didn't want to do that again. And
I wondered what you'd do, but
Yeah.
but it's not real if people don't die. You
Yeah.
can't keep everyone alive. I think your dilemma is that once you've given Diz a family, and they all become characters, you really got a problem if you try to get rid of Franny. I mean, some
Well, I'm
people
not
may
gonna do
not
it.
may
I'm
not
not-
want you to keep her, but a lot of people will feel truly betrayed.
oh yeah,
If
I'm
Franny or
not
one of
gonna-
the kids,
I'll just tell you and anybody who reads me out there, I'm not going to kill her. I mean, you know, and I don't think I'm going to get her divorced. I mean, I think it's an endlessly fascinating fandango, the marriage relationship. And, you know, like Dismas changed from being a bartender to a lawyer, to a different kind of lawyer, to a different kind of lawyer, to whoever he is in the next book. Franny's gone through a lot of the same adjustments. And the kids certainly are growing, and that's weird.
well, they'll grow up and go.
Yeah,
I mean, if
yeah.
you stay with us a long time.
Yeah.
So Franny's the one that will stay. But then you've also got Abe Glitsky, whom we haven't really talked about,
Yeah.
who's Dismas's dear friend. But they are often at swords' points because Abe is
Yeah.
or has been, a homicide
He's a
cop.
cop. Yeah.
And, you
Cops
know,
and defense attorneys are not necessarily, you know, born to be together.
absolutely true. And then Abe is black,
Yeah.
and he's also Jewish.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave him the double whammy there.
Yeah.
And Diz is not. And so there's a
Well
lot.
said, Barbara.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
a lot of, you know, conflict in the friendship, just
Yes.
as there's conflict in the marriage. But I
Right.
like you. I mean, you took Abe right to the edge.
Oh, and the
Shot
oath.
him, you rat.
Yeah.
In the oath,
Yeah.
you know.
I
and
killed him. I killed him. I didn't just shoot him. I
Yeah.
killed him dead. But, you know, that's one of the great things about being a writer. Sometimes you can make them wake up.
Well, that's very true. And I think you would have had a terrific risk with your readers had he actually not
Well,
woken up again.
my agent called me in the middle of the night when he was reading the manuscript. He goes, we have to talk. You can't do this. I said, have you finished the book? He goes, I've read enough. I know you. This is. I mean, you're not going to get out of this. It's done. I said, read on, read on, read it and weep.
But you have changed Abe's life. I mean, he
Oh.
didn't, and I don't think anyone, as you yourself know from your own brush with death,
Yeah.
nobody goes through something like that and comes out unscathed.
Well, he's so different in this book. I mean, you know, the whole, you know, that he's got to come back basically because he's better, but they don't have a job for him. You know, this is exactly what happened to me after meningitis. I mean, when I had my job at the law firm, I was a typist and, you know, word processing guy, and I did administrative work. I did a bunch of jobs. I was kind of a jack of all trades at the firm. And when I got meningitis, I was out for 6 weeks, but Lisa had called, my wife had called and said I was going to die. And the office manager she hired 3 full-time permanent people to do my job while I was out, figuring I wasn't coming back.
3.
3. So when I came back, silly me, having the bad grace to get better, you know, it was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I was getting paid a lot of money and I had no job.
And what did they do?
They tried to make me out to be a bad guy. They did some really nasty things that I didn't believe people would do to get me fired.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm. It went on for about 10 months, and then I quit because I had saved up and knew what I was doing and planned to move and did all of that. But it was ugly. I mean, really ugly. Things like the person who came in with is this a boring story?
No.
The
I'm sure it'll be a book at some point.
I was
so-
the what did they call it? The MIS person, the guy who did the actual background of the computers, you know, the hardware stuff as well as the software. But I had operator privileges on the machine, and I had a password. Well, of course, the office manager had my password because she had to have it in case I got sick. So when the new person came in, the first weekend I was back, I got a call at home that the system had crashed. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do, you know? So I walked somebody at the office through it on the telephone. Well, I came in Monday morning, and I had to go and defend my position to the managing partner because somebody said, the office manager said I had crashed the system and I'm the only one who could have crashed it because my password was on the system. I mean, they just wanted me out of there. That's all. It had nothing to do with anything other than she was embarrassed for having been an idiot enough to hire 3 full-time people, and I was making more money than she was, and she hated me.